felt like this was taking up too much stress and too much time. And but it taught me so much. It really, really did teach me a lot about performing. Thank you for having me.
Of course. My name is Adam, and this is about you and your journey in music. And of course, we'll talk about your new album coming out.
Awesome. I'm excited.
Rad. Well, Paige, tell me about where you were born and raised.
I was born in the Valley of like North Hollywood.
Okay.
And I grew up in the suburbs about 30 minutes from Los Angeles in a town called Westlake Village.
Okay.
Yeah, not too far from LA, but still like, quiet enough to be out of kind of the chaos of LA.
Sure. I'm from San Diego, so I know LA, but obviously not that well, but that's cool. So you grew up in Southern California. Amazing.
Yeah.
And I did see you come from quite a musical household. What was that like?
It was amazing. Yeah. I feel like I grew up going to gigs constantly. I always tell people that like I would just fall asleep in like a club with my parents when I was like really young, and I missed so much school because of it, because I would be out so late as like a young kid.
Mm-hmm.
Just going to like, my grandpa was a drummer, my brother was a drummer, and like loads of other people in my family. So I was always at some gig. And yeah, it was really fun, but I didn't really get into doing it myself until later on, because I think I was so intimidated by everybody else's success that I just like kind of avoided it a bit.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. I mean, your uncles were in a really famous band. I don't know, are your parents in music as well?
No, my parents aren't in music.
Okay, just your well, obviously your grandfather and your uncles and your brother. And an interview I saw with you from a while back, you're because your brother used to play with you in your band, and
Yeah.
he's what, 10 years older than you?
Yeah.
That's interesting, because my sister is 11 years younger than I am. So I'm interested to kind of hear how that dynamic was growing up, because like she doesn't even remember me living at the house at all.
Exactly. That's exactly kind of what it was like. I feel like we lived together probably for like a couple years, and then him and my sister's 12 years older than me. So there's like a huge gap between all of us. Same parents, but just decided to have a kid 10 years later.
Yeah, right. That's how my parents were.
Yeah, happy mistake.
Right.
But
as my parents say, I was the accident. So
yeah. I was definitely the accident.
my sister was the plan.
Yeah. Oh, you were the accident?
I was the accident, and then my sister was the planned one, because they were more established at that point in their life.
Yeah, I feel like they know what they're doing more later down the line. I feel like I had way less rules though than my siblings did. My parents, they did not care what I did at that point. They're like, we're over it. We're over parenting. Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, we didn't know each other that well probably until we started making music together. But then we became really, really close during that process. But as you can imagine, like brother, sister, 10 years apart, you're not hanging out too much when you're younger. Just because, our lives are different. We were into different things, and I was a little girl. So it wasn't until I probably turned 18 when I really started like hanging out with him, making music. And then, sort of like my friends would hang out with his friends and stuff like that. And our families, like a lot of our cousins and stuff, were all in similar age. So we would all hang out together. But
okay. That's cool. Yeah. Wow. So when did you, I mean, you said you're kind of intimidated by doing the music thing just because it was so, apparent that everyone else in your family was doing really well with it. And when do you decide, like, when do you start playing music? Did you even like play piano or anything growing up?
Yeah, I did. I sort of like, well, first it was singing. Like I really liked to sing, but it was kind of secretive, and I never really wanted to like, sing in front of anyone or be like, Mom, I want to go be in the choir or something like that. It was just sort of like a hobby. But I knew I could sing probably from when I was like 7 or 8. And then as I started getting more and more into it and like showing more of an interest, and doing music. I think I self-taught myself a couple songs on the piano, but my dad was like, I'm not paying for lessons unless you actually like start doing something yourself, you know?
Oh, okay.
Because he didn't want me to just like be like, can I have lessons? And then quit like a month later.
Right.
So then I got into that a little bit. And then it wasn't until my brother really sort of, I don't know, took me under his wing and asked me to write some songs with him and record some songs that he already had, because he was a producer and was working on stuff for like, you know, sync music and stuff like that, where he just needed like a vocalist. And so that's when I really started to like learn the recording process and recording my vocals and stuff like that. And then kind of getting a taste of even songwriting. And that wasn't until I was 18.
Okay.
And then I really like it all moved so quickly between me and my brother with the music. Like we did one song and then it was in a advert for PacSun, and then it did
Oh,
really
wow.
well on their YouTube channel, and everyone was like, oh, is this a band? Is this an artist? Like whose song is this? And so we kind of just decided to start like a project together from that.
Oh, really? Was that the song America? Was that the one that did that?
Well, America was the second one.
Oh,
The first one was for the same PacSun like company, the
uh-huh.
clothing brand, and it was actually like a different. We never ended up releasing the song. It was just like a little, you know, 30-second ad with some
Right.
sort of like choppy vocals and really like distorted production. It was cool, but that's when people were like, "Is this an artist? Like, who is this?" And then we were like, "Oh, okay, like this could be something cool." And then PacSun asked us to do another advert, and that's when America came about. And that was only a 30-second like verse chorus. It wasn't even a song. And then it got used in that advert, and then all the comments were like, oh my God, I need this song. I need this song. So we were like, oh shit, we need to make this a full
Like
song.
we have to write the whole thing out now.
Yeah. So literally like 6 months later, we're like, we need to finish the second verse and add a bridge. And then yeah, we finished it. And that was the start of the project. That's when we really properly started putting out music from that song.
Oh, interesting. That like was it like when your brother came to you? I mean, you probably looked up to him growing up, and then you're 18 and he's like, "Hey, I'm, producing and writing music. I want you to help me. I want you to sing on my stuff." Was that a pretty cool moment for you?
Yeah, it was really intimidating. I think I was so scared that but I didn't really have a choice, because it's like your older brother is just like, no, you're coming over and you're gonna do this for me. So, and I didn't want to like let him down. I was like, oh yeah, sure, I'll come over. Like I wanted to be cool, you know, but
Hmm.
I was so nervous. But I think I think he just like made me feel comfortable enough that something came out of it. And then even just that small little, you know, 30-second advert kind of spurred me on to want to, or made me feel more comfortable sort of exploring the songwriting part of it rather than just the vocal side of it. um and yeah, it was fun.
Did you write songs before that, or was that kind of just the opening to pursue it?
We actually, when I was like 13, we wrote something together on the guitar. That's when he sort of first um, tried to get me to, you know, explore songwriting. I think he knew I wanted to do it deep down, but I was obviously too nervous and scared, and I didn't really know where to start with that. So we wrote some little song on the guitar together at my grandparents' house, I remember. And that was really fun. And then, you know, I was still so young. I think I was 13 or 14. And then the years went by, I was in high school, whatever. And then, yeah, I didn't write anything until that point. My mom always encouraged me to write lyrics. And so I had like a lyric book, but nothing that was like, I don't know, nothing good.
Okay. Well, but your mom like just yeah, she just said like you should write lyrics, or you just wrote a lot and it was like, oh, why don't you like lean into this and
I think my mom wanted me to be a songwriter because her brothers were songwriters, and, you know, they were so successful in writing, you know, their own music, but even music for other people.
yeah.
And so my mom was always encouraging me to do that. She was like, I think that would be like a really good career, because you know, if you don't want to perform or anything, you don't even have to be like an artist or like a singer. You can do it behind the scenes, and then you can kind of just, you know, live a normal life rather than trying to become like a pop star or something. And so I was like, oh,
Right.
okay, that would be really cool, because I'm into, you know, I love music so much and I love singing even, but I didn't know if I wanted to try and be in like the spotlight or anything.
Yeah, sure. Be the person that everyone's gonna come up to and bug after, instead of just being like, oh, here's a bunch of songs that I wrote for other people and now I can chill and they can do the
Exactly.
legwork when it comes to that.
100%. And I was never I never wanted to like perform for my family when I was a kid. Like my sister was so like that. And she was definitely more of like the one who wanted to be an actress and like she also wanted to be like a singer. And, you know, she was way more, I don't know, theatrical and, you know, not shy. And I was
Like
so
extroverted.
yes, very extroverted. I was the opposite of that. So I didn't think that I even had it in me to like get up on stage and sing a song in front of people. But yeah, once that happened with my brother, and you know, it all moved so quickly. I know this sounds kind of like weird that I didn't write music and then all of a sudden one day I did, but it kind of felt like that. It was just, we wrote some song and then everyone was like, you guys need to be in a band, and it just happened that way.
Yeah, I mean that happens, right? I mean, it wasn't that the talent wasn't there or anything. It just wasn't something you guys or you personally were like striving for. It sounds like right away, and it was like,
Yeah.
oh, like I always wanted this, but now it's happening, so why not, jump
Yeah,
on board?
I needed that kind of like kick in the butt to really make it happen. And I feel like it was just sort of fate that it happened that way.
Well, you got validated pretty quickly with it.
Yeah, I think I did. And I definitely, you know, I spent a lot of years after that point having to kind of like relearn. Like I did it backwards. Like I got the sort of opportunity at the very beginning when I knew nothing. And then I was like, oh shit, I actually need to learn how to, you know, sing in front of people, perform, even practice my songwriting, learn how to properly record my vocals like professionally. So I did spend a lot of time in the background learning all those skills after I already was in a band.
Right. Yeah. Was that scary for you? I mean, you had a song that did well, right, for this commercial, and then you put out another song and then it does well, and you're like, okay, now we have to finish this. Not only do we have to finish the song, but now we're a band and we're gonna have to, perform to people and kind of do the things that a band does. Was that something you were concerned about at all?
Yeah, definitely. But I had some really good people around me kind of guiding me through that. And um, I did go to music school for a little bit during this process. Like we
Oh, okay.
released, so once we released America and it sort of took off and it was doing well during actually, sorry, I'm getting the timeline mixed up. I think it was, we had written America fully, but it took a really long time for us to actually put it out. Like there was a lot of planning. We wanted to get a manager and we wanted to like do everything properly, have
Mhm.
like visuals and pictures and sort of like really figure out what this project was before we actually put the song out. But in that time span, I think it was about like 7, 8 months, I went to music school that my grandfather was teaching at. And I took the vocal uh, department. I what am I saying? I was in the vocal department
Sure.
for
Yeah.
vocal performance, and I learned a lot. It was like 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. So I learned a lot over that 8 months. But I didn't. It was only a year-long program,
Mhm.
but I didn't finish it because I got offered a record deal, and it started becoming too much work for me. Like I couldn't do the whole making music in the studio and like performing and doing these little gigs with XYLØ and also do this like 8 hour a day
Right.
sort
Well, it
of
makes sense. Like
training.
it's like
Yeah,
if you're going to Berkeley and then you get signed, you're like, well, I guess I can always just go back. You know what I
exactly.
mean?
And I felt like people go to that school, no offense, but to get signed, like you're
Right.
going there in hopes to sort of like learn enough to get to that point. And I didn't feel like by no means was I like, oh, I need to skip all this because I just got signed. I actually felt really like awkward, and I didn't want to tell anyone that I went to school with that I got signed, because
Oh, really?
it was just like, it's a big, I didn't feel competitive at all, but those people, that's their dream as well. So I didn't want to make anyone feel
Yeah.
sort of,
Get all that jealousy and
yeah, I
yeah.
didn't want to brag or anything, but I was just sort of like, a lot's going on now in my life. And I felt like this was taking up too much stress and too much time. And but it taught me so much. It really, really did teach me a lot about performing. And that's the most important thing that I took from that school, is performing, because I performed every day in front of the class.
Oh, wow.
And then on the side, I went to open mics all the time to sort of really learn how to perform in front of like actual, a crowd of people that didn't know me and wasn't in my class. And,
Mhm.
in the class, everyone has to get up and perform. So no one's really judging you in that way. But I did a lot of open mics, and those were so nerve-wracking. Like, I just remember feeling sick to my stomach all day to just get up and go and play one song at an open mic. But it helps so much. I recommend that to anyone who's learning how to perform. Definitely go to an open mic.
Yeah. Did you just get up there and sing, or did you play the XYLØ songs, or what were you doing at the open
Well,
mics?
Lee, yeah, I did XYLØ songs. So Lee, who plays guitar in XYLØ, and he also wrote all the songs with us.
Okay.
He is like he did all the like lyrics and melodies with us. He played the guitar for me. So we just did it acoustic, and
Oh, cool.
me and him would go, and yeah, we would just perform like one or two XYLØ songs. And then after I sort of went through my open mic phase, right before we played our first actual, XYLØ show, like the first headline show, we did some secret shows in LA at like random little bars under the name Nilo. It was like,
Oh, that's awesome.
and so there was like people that like would come that, just sort of a built-in audience of some random little like bar sort of
Mhm.
venue in like Burbank or something. I can't remember, but yeah, we did that
That's
twice.
cool. I've heard of other bands doing that, just like putting a different name up just to kind of test the waters and
Yes,
get some practice under your belt. That's awesome.
it was really fun. Me and my best friend were just reminiscing about it the other day. She was like, those were some of the best nights of my life. My secret shows, because
Yeah.
you'd get all your friends to come and like your parents just to sit and watch you like play all your songs before anyone super important was coming to watch you. So
Right, right.
it's
Wow.
fun.
And did you have at this point, I mean, you put the record out, you guys got a deal, and were you on the road right away? Did you have to go support the EP that you put out, or no?
Yeah, so I can't really remember like exactly what shows we played right when we got signed. I think we did some headline like one-off stuff,
Okay.
which was good. And then I think we did like South by and all that stuff. And then we did a support tour, like a long one that was like 40 days.
Oh, okay.
Um, but I didn't go on my first headline tour until recently, like well, it was right before the pandemic, so it was 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Wow,
so
wow.
that was like my first like proper headline sort of
Gig.
long run. And then yeah, and then I'm going on another one later in the year.
Yeah, to support the new record. That's so awesome. Yeah, because the video or the interview I watched of you with your brother, and it was at the Aaron Style Festival. You played with the Shaun White's thing.
Oh yeah, that was really
Yeah,
fun.
and they had clips of you guys performing, and I was like it's what's crazy to me to hear is you tell the story and say that you're first of all you were shy, and second that you hadn't had really a lot of experience as far as playing in front of people, because you watched your energy on that set, and I'm like it's like it's so natural and like you had been doing it forever.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I know it must just be some alter ego that comes out when I come on stage, because I feel like I am a Leo, so it's not that surprising that I'm confident on stage. But yeah, I feel like I'm not that confident in real life. But maybe it's something to do with nerves as well. Like when you're nervous, I feel like you just have no choice but to be as confident as you
You
could
just have to
possibly.
go into it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or exude so much energy that people don't notice that you're actually really nervous. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So like when I know your brother ended up leaving the group to pursue other things, was that something when he left and you obviously wanted to keep doing what you're doing with XYLØ, was that was that something you were at all concerned about, or were you like, okay, like, you know, we did our thing and now I'll just help write the songs by myself, like what?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely difficult for, at the start of it to sort
Hmm.
of, for us to, you know, both of us deal with that this was splitting up and this was something that was started together and stuff like that. But ultimately I felt confident in, who I was as an artist, and I really wanted to continue performing, and touring was like a big thing that I wanted to keep doing and stuff like that. And I I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a hard question because it's like, yeah, it was hard at the beginning, but I think ultimately it was the best decision for the both of us.
Hmm.
And he wanted to sort of remain a producer and do things more behind the scenes, and make music with other people and stuff like that. So I think it was ultimately a better decision. And now it's been so many years since that happened. That happened
Right.
in 2017 that
Hmm.
um yeah, the dust is settled.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean like it was awkward between the two of you, but just like having that, you know, that's how the initial like spark when the two of you wrote the songs that ended up kind of picking up, and then it was like, okay, now we're separated. And now, you know, what is the songs going to change, or is it going to change at all with the the new like
Yeah,
lineup, so to speak? I guess was my question.
well, I think the reason why maybe it didn't seem so shocking or jarring making that decision is because when not any shade to being signed to a major label, but when we got signed and then, the years went by being signed to Sony, I think that sort of authenticity and rawness between just us making the music kind of got lost. And
Oh,
I don't
interesting.
really think it was the two of us making music anymore in
Hmm.
his little studio in the suburbs. It turned into something that was sort of other, we were being sort of not forced, but um I don't know.
Yeah, it probably just came with more commercial, like corporate, and like
Yes,
people kind of more jumping in there and being like, well, you should probably do more opinions, maybe.
way more opinions, and a lot of songs written for us being sort of pushed in our direction, and not necessarily being forced, but sort of like you need to take songs from other people in order for you to get to that next level of stardom.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And sort of the songs that we were showing them that we were writing together were just not really even considered anymore. So it was difficult because I don't want to blame anything because life just happens, and it's very complicated, and there's so many different um reasons why things don't end up working out between a partnership. But
Hmm.
I'd say musically, like, yeah, it got confused for a bit. And me and my fans always sort of laugh about it and talk about it sometimes, how there was my major label era where the music didn't really sound like the music that I was making at the beginning, or even the music that I'm making now, which,
Hmm.
trying to go back to my roots a little bit, but still doing my own thing.
Yeah, yeah. So now it's, I mean, I'm sure it was probably pretty freeing to be like, okay, now I get to do and write songs that I want to release and do what I want to do without having, you know, a million people tell me that we need to do this, or this song isn't going to work, or we need to do it this way.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. It's like night and day. A huge weight lifted off my shoulders after that point. I think I really, really started to appreciate being an artist, and also appreciating what independent artists do so much more when I was able to make my own decisions. But that's when I really feel like I truly enjoyed being an artist and making music, was
Hmm.
sort of when I got dropped, honestly. And I'm really grateful for all the opportunities that I had being signed. And I don't think that, a lot of things would have happened without them. But I think when just talking about the music side of it
Hmm.
and making those decisions, yeah, it's really interesting how things change.
Sure. And I mean, it's not like it stopped people from listening to your music at all. You know what I mean? Like you sit get
No,
your numbers, it's like through the roof. So it's like,
no, I mean, yeah, it's amazing. Sometimes I'm like, to some of the fans that have been, with me since day one, I'm like, wow, why are you still here? Like, that's so sweet that you liked my music through all the different eras. But yeah, I'm really grateful for that.
but it's also like a test to like, what were they, maybe the label should have listened to you guys up front. You know what I mean?
I know, but that's just like, the thing is, I can't even be mad because it's like, they just care about making money. You know what
Right.
I mean?
And it was the best thing for you in the long run.
Yeah. And you know what? It was a learning experience that I actually I liked, because I'm like, it was kind of a I told you so type of experience where they were like, do this. I was like, no, this is not good. I don't like these songs.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't make me put them out. Please. And then, I had to, and they didn't go as well as any of the songs that we just wrote on our own.
Right.
I'm like, there you go. Like, just because some big writer or producer wrote this song doesn't make it like a hit for me.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
really work that way. Like, maybe it did back in the day when you can kind of orchestrate something like that. But
I think people, yeah, definitely resonate with more authenticity now especially than ever with,
yeah,
you can see anyone on like TikTok or whatever. It's like the people that are doing not what everyone else is doing are the ones that are getting the, success there, and even in music.
yeah, it's totally validating, because my most successful songs were written just at home. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
in my
sure.
shitty little apartment, not this apartment, I like this apartment, but my other apartment.
uh,
Yeah, so
it's so cool. I'm curious, you said that you were on a headlining tour right before the pandemic hit, and then the pandemic hits. Uh, and is that when you start working on this album that's coming out, or tell me like timeline wise, like where you're at?
well, I didn't start writing the album until the beginning of 2021.
Oh, okay.
So 2020, I sort of, well, the beginning of 2020, I actually still went on a tour, a support tour at the beginning of it. And like literally right when the pandemic hit, I was like, had just gotten home from the tour.
Oh, so you weren't
Um,
on the road yet, or still you had just made it back home?
yeah. And
Oh
then
my.
actually I had like one festival to do after that. And that was, I think, literally the day before everything shut down. So I did sort of that at the beginning of the year. And then I wrote, how many EP? I think I did an EP during 2020.
Yeah, it looks like you put out the 2 EPs, I think, during 2020,
Oh,
right?
did I? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
the Ganglands of My Heart and
Oh,
Outsiders Club.
yeah, the Ganglands was like, but that was written in
Oh,
like,
that was before the pandemic too.
yeah,
I
so
think
I
that
don't,
came out. So yeah.
but then, yeah, I put out another EP, and then I think I just like chilled 2020. I don't know. I was just kind of like figuring out what I wanted to do next. I think I knew that I wanted to write the album, but I wanted to like plan that one out and spend a lot of time sort of figuring out what that was going to sound like and look like and stuff. Um, and then 2021 was like the beginning of, in January, that's when I really started writing it. I wrote the first song in Lake Arrowhead in like a cabin.
Oh wow.
Um, and then yeah, it sort of just that sort of dictated the sound, and the rest is history.
When did you go to like Arrowhead just specifically to write?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's me and Lee who produced it, and well, Lee writes everything with me, but he produced this album, and we got a cabin in Lake Arrowhead, which was actually really scary. I'm afraid of everything. Like, oh God, I cannot sleep when I'm in the middle of nowhere. I was like convinced I was gonna get murdered. So it was like, it sounds fun in hindsight, like going like, oh, we're gonna get a remote cabin and write some songs. Really, the whole time I was just so scared that we were gonna get murdered. But we did get 2 songs out of it. So
Okay. Have you put out either of those yet? Because you've put
no,
what, three songs in the record so far, or four?
yeah, only 3 songs so
Three.
far.
Because Aliens
No,
isn't
no, 4.
is Aliens going to be on the record?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
I
far.
forget. Yeah, there's 4 singles out. The one that we wrote at the cabin is the album title track, Un-American Beauty.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's coming out with the album next week.
That's so exciting. So
Yeah.
exciting. So, and then yeah, Red Hot Winter is the most recent then single that you put out.
Yes.
Okay. And I love all the songs that you put out so far. I think Sugar Free Rush is such a creative title, and like the lyrics are rad. And same with Sweetheart. I think that's such a cool song.
Thank you.
And then there's one. What's the song? Is it one of those two where there's like a message, like like somebody's leaving you a message in the middle of the song? I think it's
Uh,
somebody leaving you a message, or maybe you're leaving somebody a message. It's like there's like a cell phone. There's like
well,
a voicemail or something comes in.
that's in Yes and No. There's a
Oh, it
voice.
isn't Yes and No. Okay, maybe I'm getting confused because I was
No,
listening to a
no, no,
bunch
it's
of your
fine.
records.
Well, also in Sugar Free Rush, there's a couple samples in there as well of people. So
Oh,
I
maybe
get
that's where I was getting that from.
there's this meme of, I don't know if you know who Trish Paytas is. She's like a
Uh-uh.
YouTuber, but there's this little meme, the one where she's like in Sugar Free Rush, where it's like, huh? What? Oh, okay. It's
Oh, maybe that's what I was
it's
hearing.
really silly. I don't know why we put it in that. We're just feeling silly at the time. We're just throwing in a bunch of samples right and left. And that one worked and it fit with the timing. And so we were like, oh my God, we have to keep this.
That's amazing. Were there any other moments like that on the record?
Yeah. What else is there? I just had to make like a list of all the samples the other day. There's another one in Sugar Free Rush, actually, from Pulp Fiction.
Oh, okay.
There's like a little bit of Mia Wallace, the main character,
Mhm.
in there. And then there's something else in like from like an old video game. I don't even know what the video game is, but Lee had to put it in there. And that's in one of the songs called One Bedroom Apartment. And then there's a lot of samples on the
Cool.
album. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to go back and listen to Sugar Free Rush to hear the Pulp Fiction piece now, because I didn't even know. I mean, I was just listening to all your records, and then it didn't click. It click in my head that it was that. That's funny.
Yeah, it's hard to pick some of them out because sometimes I'm actually speaking in them. Like there's just bits of me like talking while I'm recording, like talking to my dog that we kept in there, so
Oh,
it's difficult to kind of like decipher which one's the sample and which one isn't. But yeah, the one on the voicemail on Yes and No, you're probably thinking of that one as well, because that's like the whole bridge, and that's my grandma.
oh, that's that. Yeah, that's what it is too.
And
Okay.
everyone thinks it says, hi, Paige, this is Chris, but her name is Grizz. We call her Grizz. Like the Grizzly Grams from the Bernstein Bears. I don't know why we
Oh,
call her
wow.
Grizz,
I loved
but
the Berenstain Bears growing up.
yeah. So we all call her Grizz, Grizz. So that's what she's saying in the song. And everyone always gets it wrong. Like when people are writing out the lyrics on Twitter or stuff, it always says Chris. I'm like, it's not Chris. It's my
It's
grandma.
Grizz. That's cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, do you feel like, having the all that time from the pandemic and going to the cabin and Arrowhead, like did that have any effect on the record, or would it have changed the record at all if you would have went from 2019 finishing up those tours to then going into an album?
Yeah, I do. I think, the pandemic was awful,
Hmm.
but it's just having time to really sort of step away from everything and not really have anything to do besides figure out who you are and like what you want. That sort of like resting period, I think, was really good. Because I've mentioned this before, but I feel like some of my EPs, even my independent ones, there's a lot of songs on there that I absolutely love, but I think like just, the sort of B-sides on them, or, EP tracks, I felt like I was just trying to like fill the space to get an EP out, because I needed to like survive and make money and,
Hmm.
put content out all the time. And I didn't really get to take a lot of time to figure out like a concept or, specific visuals and stuff like that, and really what I wanted to say. But but for this album, I really felt like I had a lot of time to do that. I mean, I spent a year doing it. So yeah, I'm really grateful that I had that time, and I'm most proud of this than anything I've done. So I'm excited.
That's amazing. And congratulations. I mean, it's your first like full record, and you said you're doing a tour to support it.
Yeah, in October. I haven't announced it yet, but I will soon.
Okay. Can I ask if you're playing Nashville?
I'm not playing Nashville.
Uh,
It's just like we'll see how this goes, because it's just like 10 shows to support the album at the beginning, but I'm obviously hoping that there will be more, hopefully at the end of the year or even at the beginning of next year, you know?
yeah, for sure. I was just curious. Yeah, because I moved from San Diego to Nashville within like a little over a year ago. My family and I moved here. So
Oh, cool. Do you
yeah,
like it?
we love it here. Absolutely love it here.
I've never spent any proper time in Nashville, so I need to come there, and I hear it's amazing. I feel like everyone's moving to Nashville.
Yeah, I didn't know this. I didn't know that until I moved here, and then like the local people that I meet, they're like, "Oh, you're like the 10 millionth person I've talked to that's moving here from California." I'm like,
I
"Oh,
know.
sorry."
Yeah, I know a lot of people that have moved there. I mean, there's a great music scene, obviously, over there, and I feel like a lot of songwriters go over there recently as well.
And it's not. I moved here, and I'm not a huge country fan, but I moved here thinking it was just going to be like a country town.
No, I feel
But
like it's not
it's
that.
not at all. There's so like every genre of music is being created here. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Oh, that's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, we live in the burbs south of Nashville, but it's close to get there, and the pace of life is so much different and slower. It's just coming
Yeah.
from California, only living in California my entire life. It was it was a little bit of a culture shock, but
Yeah,
I love
sure.
it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing this today, Paige. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
I have one quick question before I let you go.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Yeah, I have a lot of advice. um, I'd say the big one for me at the moment is sort of trust the whole process of being an artist. And like I said, it's been 8 years since I started, and now I'm just finally putting out my debut album. So just never give up on anything. And if you really believe in yourself and you keep going, I think it can happen for anyone. Bringing it backward.